Steve, how are you?
Wonderful.
You per usual,
It's
wonderful per
it's a
usual.
Monday night. What could be better?
Okay, all right. Um, yeah, it is Monday night. I'm gonna go watch some Monday Night Football after this. I think there's a certain storyline a lot of people are paying attention to.
That's
Uh,
probably true.
but this is the main show of Monday night. You know, the Stuff Summer Says podcast
Steve,
with Steve. He's on fire already. Steve, we have major sports media news to discuss this week. The Summers family has cut the cable or cut the cord. Well, cut the cable as well. That is it. That's the entire podcast. Okay. No,
so were you a Charter Communications household? I didn't follow up.
no,
That's
we're a Comcast household. But it didn't make sense anymore. And you sent me a nice little promo code for YouTube. This isn't a YouTube TV ad. It sounds like one. Um, but we decided to cut the cord. But that's beside the point. Where we've got other things to discuss. You want to get into those?
sure. We'll talk
Okay.
about the cord
Okay.
on an off week and see how
Yeah.
how it's going
Perfect.
a month
Great.
in or
Perfect.
something.
All right. Here's what we got on this week's show. We've got the Delaware game to recap. And what I believe might be a first for the podcast, instead of doing old guy, young guy at the end, we're going to do it in the middle today. We're going to talk about the Peacock broadcast. And actually, I'm going to expand it to how we consumed Saturday's game question. Then we will discuss the upcoming game with Illinois. Steve wearing orange this week, not really on brand for playing Illinois, but we'll let that one slide.
It's the
Um,
it's the Scotland stuff. Come on,
oh my God.
Glasgow Rangers.
No, yes, that's sure. Great. And then we're going to announce, I don't know, do our first ever college football announcer draft. There are some rules and stipulations, but I think I'm very excited about this segment. I've been floating this idea probably for at least a year now of just kind of, and I'm like, yeah, that feels like the week to do it. I don't know why. Um, so let's start there. Actually, let's back up for 1 second. I am wearing my stuff today, so that's mention number one.
Woo!
But we have long sleeve stuff now, so I almost called it long Steve stuff.
That stuff will
But
sell better.
yeah, maybe. So you can go buy that on the website. Yeah. All right. So let's get into it. Penn State beats Delaware 63-7. Does pretty much everything it's supposed to do in a contest against an FCS school. Um, I don't have any negatives. Well, there was one negative, which was the long touchdown run, and that was poor Tyler Elston's fault. But other than that, I think Penn State did exactly what it was supposed to do. Katron Allen looked very good, looked very sharp. I don't know. I have said this before on this podcast. I think he is the better back, at least the better NFL built back than Nicholas Singleton. I think Nicholas Singleton is an absolute blast to watch, and probably is my favorite player on the team this year to watch. But Katron Allen just eats. Like he goes out there and it's a little bit of like Marshawn Lynch, maybe not the size of Jerome Bettis, but it's just kind of the bowling ball snowball effect of getting him going, and I appreciated that. I think the quarterback played phenomenally. Both quarterbacks actually played phenomenally, and the defense really I think only allowed 140 yards, and really outside of that one missed tack or missed read on that 66-yard touchdown run, looked sharp. So everything that they were supposed to do there. Steve, did you what was your takeaway of Saturday's football contest?
Everything they're supposed to do. Less than 60 yards of offense, in terms of rushing and passing for them. Either one was like 53 of one and 58 of the other, or some crazy thing like that. Yeah, it was a nice big fall exhibition game against a team they were supposed to beat when they were supposed to look smooth and good and doing it, and they did so, and they stayed healthy. Big key of the game, and move on to the first conference game.
I think the main interesting thing, going back to the Katron Allen point, was caught by Audrey Snyder in her article. Outside of the fan experience, I guess we'll get to that in a few here. But the main thing was caught about James Franklin's midweek press conference comment of essentially pointing out that he directly called out that Penn State really appreciates Katron Allen, and then he goes out and gets, I think it was like 10 carries, scores a touchdown, goes the only rusher for over 100 yards. I don't know. I thought that was interesting in the NIL-ish world of the past 4 years, 3 years really of the second or third running back kind of darting and leaving, even going all the way back to like Saquon and Akil. Like Akil left pretty much because he saw what was happening. So I think it's going to be interesting how those storylines continue to come to play, playing time, things like that, because we've never seen James Franklin have to handle a roster that is this deep before, like up and down the board, both on the offensive side, defensive side. There's outside of maybe the kicker, there is not really a hole on this roster, so to speak, in terms of depth. And so that is something to pay attention to if you're paying attention to those types of things this football season. And that is kind of a compound of a lot of issues, playing time, but also NIL. I think Audrey brought up the point that Nicholas Singleton is everywhere. Like you look at, he's got a Roback deal. He's got all of these other headphones deals, and Katron just wants to play football. And I think it's kind of finding that balance, and how James Franklin handles that is interesting to me.
Yeah, roster management is a huge piece of what college football is now for top programs, because guys can transfer out at any time. Somebody can transfer in. You're trying to keep happy. I mean, everything from the kicker taking accountability after the first week and addressing the team, to the tight ends apparently not complaining about not getting the ball the first week because, it's one game of 12. Why would they complain? To, balancing the running backs. I mean, I think the media is a big part of that as well, right? Because everybody's following people on social media. Everybody's trying to find a read into something they're going to do or not do. And does that mean something? And are they trying to send a message, right? So it's this whole big circular, well, he said this, is he thinking that? So it's just another layer for the coach. And I think they've done a good job with it. I mean, 2 games in, they've done a good job with it. Throughout the summer, they've done a good job with it. So, I mean, but that's as much of it now as anything else in some ways, is keeping people happy so they stay around.
Yeah, I think that's something to pay attention to. X's and O's wise. I think the kicker competition feels slightly over. There were no field goal attempts on Saturday, but there were 9 touchdowns, and so there were 9 kicks, and Alex Felkins kicked, I think, 8 of them. Sanders Zaheda kicked 1 of them, and I think even Sanders it was like Felkins, then Sanders Zaheda, and then back to Felkins. Like so. Kind of to me says that job has been decided. So that's, if you're concerned about anything, that's the main thing to be concerned about. I don't think we have, and we'll get into this once we talk about Illinois a little bit, but I don't think we have seen the full 100% Penn State football program schematically yet. I was surprised there was a flea flicker. That's a weird play to put on tape. Maybe it's a you just put that on there because you can have a little fun on a day like Saturday.
You got to prepare for it, right?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So, thought that was interesting. And I've said it again. I wrote about it, but it is weird how much Bo Perula looks like Trace, and it's freaky to me. Like it is 100% the freakiest thing I've ever seen.
Well, so, I mean, there's a style and there's a number and there's everything that goes with it. So yeah.
All right. It sounds like I didn't go to the game. Steve didn't go to the game. Steve did tailgate though. But it sounds like all in all, the fan experience got better on Saturday. It does sound like there was a little bit of traffic, but that's State College and on a Saturday in the fall for a noon kick. Deal with it.
Wow.
There's
no sympathy for the pregame traffic.
Pregame traffic. Post-game traffic is different. Post-game traffic is different because you can control when you get there pregame. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay, that's fair.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
Mr.
Fair.
What time you get the lots?
Early.
Yeah, it's a technical term on this podcast. And so it sounds like everything was much better. The play-by-play or the down and distance return to the public address announcing. Rodney was on the call this time around. I heard it a couple times and I liked it. He would draw out like Drew's name, like he was like Drew. Like I thought that was fun. Like that's a little unique quirk, not necessarily making it about himself, but did a nice job there. So that's good. And all of the feedback was strong and better there. As well. Sounds like player names were also read on both sides. I did have some bad news, Steve. Here's some bad news that you're going to be fired up about. There's a new Mike Man segment in the fourth quarter.
I saw that. I'm waiting. Yeah, I'm waiting to hear the context.
I guess it's like, are you ready for the fourth quarter? I gotta agree with you on this one. Like I like the pregame one. And I gotta agree with you on this one. But you know what? Good for them for trying new things, but it's fourth quarter against Delaware.
But consistent, right? If you're going to do it every time from
sure.
then on, that's fine. Hockey did, 3 or 4 years ago. They had a great video going into the third quarter. Like they just did one that year
Steve.
that
it's a period.
Sorry, I meant
my God.
I'm thinking football. But it was good and it really worked. And I thought it was something you repeat like just every year, and it hasn't been back for a couple of years. And I thought that was a neat thing. Like it just for whatever.
What was it?
It was just a cool little hype video sizzle reel before the team came out, probably 30 seconds. Are you ready? And it's about to begin the third period. Are you ready for it? It was just a neat thing that they were consistent about that whole year. And then in the past couple of seasons, it just, that's not what they've done. And it kind of got the crowd back into it. I mean, because you second break, game may or may not be interesting, and yeah. So, hey, kudos for trying something different, but anything with the mic, man, I have now moved on to, I want the mic visitor at the beginning of the game. And that's what I'll champion.
This is now week 2 of Steve advocating, not complaining.
I am just for taking someone else's idea.
That's a great idea. Maddie Pryor came up with that idea.
Much smarter than I am. Younger, has your pulse on the crowd, I'm sure, finger on the pulse of the crowd. So I'm sure she's right. I'm just trying to help it come to reality.
All right. I support it. Okay. I think the only other minor gripe that I heard is still the scoreboard is a little slow. We'll see if it gets better for the whiteout. We'll leave that there.
Maybe we have not the niftiest nimble maybe we have not the niftiest nimble fingered interns working the scoreboard.
I don't know. I don't know on that one. But you know what? I'm glad for people for making changes, making corrections. I appreciate that. I think that is what we'll call out this week on the podcast. Speaking of making changes, for the first time ever, Penn State football fans had to exclusively watch the football game if they wanted to watch the football game via a streaming network. This time it was on Peacock. It will probably happen once a season or maybe once every other season. Who knows? Maybe even twice this season. But I think the feedback in general was fine once everything started. Oh, by the way, this week's Will Guy Young Guy segment. To me, it is no different than, going back to the cutting of the cord, it is now no different. Like it's literally the same function. I'm just going, instead of going to the YouTube TV app, I'm now going to the Peacock app. When I woke up, the highlight of my Saturday was spending a solid 30 minutes in bed, just reading the Facebook comments on people complaining, how could Penn State do this? Why could Comcast force us to do this? Blah, 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 this, that. You still paid the $5. Like we are so addicted to this that you're still going to pay the $5 to watch the football game. There's someone I went to college with. She posted a picture of her dad complaining about Peacock, and then by the end of the third quarter was asleep on the couch that he had to pay watching Peacock. So again, like I think that's the good, just like hyperbole for the state of Penn State fans. You still went and paid your $5, and now you can go watch Parks and Rec or whatever for the rest of the month. The broadcast itself was pretty good. Like it was better than some, if not several Big Ten network broadcasts. The image quality was crisp and clear, and that wasn't just because of the Wi-Fi. It was the way it was produced. The truck that it was produced out of seemed like it was a higher level, newer truck. Brendan Burke, who is a hockey voice to me, was very good. Had a great, I forget, did you go to Williamsport, Steve? Is that?
I'm from near there. Yeah.
Okay, you're from up that way. So he had a great call out about Trey Potts, and he went to Williamsport and then explained the history of the Millionaire mascot at Williamsport High School. And I just thought it was a nice little, like, doing your extra research. So I think he was good. It was a little weird for me to hear him as a football voice on a hockey, or a hockey voice on a football game, but did a nice job. I think the other big takeaway for me was once Michael Robinson settled down and got comfortable and, wasn't a little anxious and kept calling Katron Allen K-Train by mistake, I think. At least it came off that way the first time, and he kind of caught himself. He did a solid job. He did a nice job of explaining this and that. Yeah, I still probably prefer him as a studio analyst type role. I think he's a little bit better when he can be a little more prepared that way. But he did a nice job. So all around, like, I comparatively to some Big Ten network games, I would much rather watch a Peacock broadcast than a Big Ten network broadcast.
Has to be better than FS1. I mean, realistically, I
Yeah,
mean, and
yeah.
I'm always hard on FS1 and the Fox folks to begin with, so maybe that's unfair, but yeah, I don't have any doubt about the quality. I don't have any doubt about the process. I mean, even for Penn State fans, I guess if you're a Penn State fan who's never going to go to a game and only consume on TV, okay, there's an extra hurdle and it's a little bit more money, right? But is it worth it to you for $5 a month or whatever deal you get? Because you can shut it off after the game. I mean, you can now cancel your subscription and still have it for 30 days, but you can do that. So I don't. It's a technological hurdle a little bit for people who have cable, right? Because you got to go a different place to get it and whatever else. And I can see that shaking them up. But if it's worth it to you, it's cheaper than going to the game. If you really want to see the game, it's much cheaper than going to the game.
Right.
And in terms of that, that's how the model's gonna work. It's gonna make sense for people that way to get their one game a season in if they want to. So how did your Geek Squad stuff go? How much time you spent? Half an hour checking Facebook comments. How long did it take you as a remote Geek Squad expert to help?
It was relatively quick to help my mom. And it wasn't really her fault, but it logged out on. I had logged her into our Peacock account before the game. And then it logged her out probably just because it hadn't been used since the previous week. And she struggled typing it in. It was more user error than technology error. She did say, and she doesn't have the strongest internet, so I think it might have been an internet issue. It did buffer a couple of times for her. But I didn't hear or see anybody say, "Oh, like you know how usually if something crashes, there's a lot of people saying, "Oh, it's down. What the hell?" I didn't see that, so that was good. I, I think, like I said, I think the other thing is now Penn State fans have done this once. It will be like you said, it will just become second nature now to
Right.
do it
And
again.
Notre Dame fans have been doing it for a couple of seasons already.
Right.
I mean, it's no big deal. Peacock has a lot of stuff there. I mean, it's different because it was the first time. But it's still less than a hurdle. It was available to everybody, unlike the Big Ten network, 15, 16 years ago, whatever it was.
That's a good point.
It was available to everybody if they wanted to. And it was cheaper than the Big Ten network all those years ago. So if it's worth whatever deal you find, if you found the $1.99 a month thing, if you found $5.99, if you found whatever it was and you did it, great. If you decided not to, hey, that's cool too. I mean, I think we have it. In fact, I'm pretty sure we had like 2 offers. You can use our login information. I'm sure there's one on the TV already from one of Sam's friends. And I'm like, you know what? I want to Colorado and I want to listen to Steve and Jack. I usually listen to Steve and Jack at least one game a year. This made that easy to be that game. So it worked out all the way around.
Yeah, we were driving up to Lancaster for during pretty much the entire game, first half and third quarter, really. It had been a while since I had listened to a full broadcast of Steve and Jack. I had listened to last year. We caught the end of the Central Michigan game with Steve and Jack because we had to go to a wedding over in Baltimore. But I tell you what, Steve, when we had Steve on the podcast, he said, "I want to do this as long as I'm still sharp." He is more than sharp. Like, he is right on it. The way his brain can process this person's standing here, this is happening, that person's moving in motion, all before the play even starts. And it's, that relatively quick 10 seconds that Jack kind of is done talking. He's got the runway. Man, he's good with it. Really no complaints there. This is a minor gripe and it has nothing to do with those two. The Learfield app did make my phone very hot. So something to look out for if you're listening to on those.
They
but
were spying on you.
Yeah. They still got it. Like, they are still a high quality broadcast. You feel like you know exactly what's happening. And they did a nice job once the game got boring of kind of taking a step back and talking about bigger picture things and talking about why it was important that Bo was playing and why it was important. Jack did a great job explaining the importance of why Drew and all of the first team guys played after the second half started when they really didn't need to. And it was all because for a lot of these guys, it might be their first or second seasons. They got to get used to coming back out of the tunnel and getting warmed back up and playing again. So I thought that was an interesting tidbit off the top of my head. So yeah, I was very pleased with that.
No, I think you're right, They're solid. I mean, they just don't. It's nitpicking when you critique their broadcasts. I mean, there may be some protecting the brand kind of stuff, but it's not going to happen in this game. It's probably not going to happen much during the season. So no, and that's what, for me, that's why it was an easy call. I knew I needed to hear him, one game almost exclusively if I could. So it was a good time to do it.
All right, cool. Anything else you want to add there? We would watch a Peacock game if we have to again. Is that? I think that is the vibe.
Yes,
okay.
Yep.
All right, great. Moving on to this weekend's upcoming contest. Penn State takes on Illinois. We said this was the game that concerned us most.
I was gonna say, did we say that a couple weeks ago? Boy, were we wrong.
Yeah, we missed on that one. I'm still mildly anxious just because it's a noon game in a road environment. But this will be Illinois' third game of the season as well. They literally snuck by Toledo at home there for their opener with a last-second field goal, and then went to Kansas last weekend, and outside of like a garbage time touchdown, pretty much just got ran all over. Pretty well handled. They don't look like the Illinois we thought they were going to be. And I don't think it was a very high bar, but it was certainly an underachieving bar. So
it's higher than this, yeah.
Yeah. So I think this game is no longer my most concerning game. Am I slightly concerned about 11 a.m. local time kick?
That's because you're a worrier.
Yeah, I think that's just because it's me, and I've did some research on that number and didn't like what I saw. But other than that, I think as long as the quarterback is smart and continues to do what he does, which is not throw the ball to anybody on the opposing team, I think Penn State is going to be fine. Like I really do. I think I saw the line was what 13.5 when it first came out. I didn't see what the over under was. But that feels about right. Like I feel like that's fair. I think Penn State is definitely a 2-touchdown team better than Illinois right now.
Yeah, I mean, when is the first time the quarterback's going to feel stressed? I mean, West Virginia, you thought it might be maybe once, twice, didn't happen. It's not going to be this weekend. I mean, it's just not. I mean, maybe because it's on the road and it's different and whatever. I just don't see it. The kid just seems poised. Maybe sometime in Iowa if they struggle on an early drive or something, right? And then, but you're going to have the home crowd.
Yeah.
So I don't. It's going to be a few more weeks at least till I think he's really in a position where it seems like he's struggling or he's made a bad decision that was compound something else, because it just so far he hasn't done that, which is refreshing.
I mean, and all of this is, of course, knock on wood type thing from at least my perspective. Steve takes the more unbiased stance, of course. But I think, you look at the schedule, it's at Illinois, home against Iowa, at Northwestern, and then UMass, and then you got the Ohio State game. Everything about this schedule just builds so nicely this year. And I kind of tweeted this earlier this week, and we have talked about this thousands of times now on this podcast, that James Franklin is paid to really win 3 games. I would argue 2 games, Ohio State and Michigan. It just, the way this schedule builds this year towards those 2 games is so much smoother than any other season, I feel like. And this is a perfect example or opportunity for Drew to go out there and kind of just, he doesn't even need to get his feet wet because he's already played. Like, he played in a pretty pressure-filled situation against Purdue opening week 1 last year. He got garbage time, significant garbage time against Indiana last season. So I don't know. I think the other thing is, like, going back to the sports media aspect of this, big noon kickoff isn't going to be there anymore. They're now going to go back to Colorado for the umpteenth time.
Only 3.
How many weeks have there been? How many weeks have there been? 3.
Okay, so it's been every week. It's the biggest story in college football.
Okay, sure, whatever. It's the most annoying story in college football. That's what I'm going to say. I just we're gonna get sidetracked, but I'm gonna. It just feels like Tim Tebow mania all over again. It feels like Tebow mania all over again, and I don't know why. I can't put my finger on it, but I feel like it's just gonna come crashing down like a house of cards. Anyways,
Oh, I think it's Tebow mania. I think that's an apt comparison. I don't know if it'll come crashing down. Maybe the dude can coach. Maybe
I don't know.
maybe the process of being able to bring 86 people in and trust them and protect them if that's what he's doing in terms of saying, hey, go out and be the best you can be. I don't care if you like each other. I just need you to win games, right?
Yeah,
Forget about culture and chemistry, because he's talked about that. And I'm not belittling that. Maybe that's hey, look, I don't need you to like each other. I just need you to play games and go win. And if we all win, it'll be successful. He moves the needle. Boulder's thrilled and excited about what's going on so they can support 2 shows. And there was going to be no juice. I mean, there's never any juice for Big Noon kickoff in person unless they're outside Ohio Stadium. And there was going to be no juice in Champaign if they were there.
I just feel like
it's bad TV.
That's that. I don't disagree with that. That's it's not as interesting TV. That's very fair. I don't know. Just where I was going with that was, I feel like sometimes when Penn State comes to town, 2019 Minnesota comes to mind. Everybody's real juiced up for that school because that's a bigger game for them. Mm-hmm. I feel like this game on 2 weeks ago had that feel to it, and now it's with their results, Illinois' results, it's kind of just dissipated a lot. And I think Big Noon not being there certainly pushes that down the window. So I don't know. I feel confident about this weekend. The meter is confident. Fair?
I think that'll prove correct.
Okay. Anything else you want to add about the upcoming football contest?
No, I think they're going to win.
No. All right. Steve, do you have your
what's the over under on nicknames awarded by the play-by-play team during the game?
I don't know. I don't want to know.
Okay.
It's gonna be really high. Oh God. I didn't even think about that. Like, here's what's gonna happen. Penn State's gonna get up like 21-0, right? And then like in the second quarter, like 3 minutes left, like Illinois is gonna rattle off that one big play, and Gus Johnson is just gonna get just absolutely lose his mind. And I think, and then he's not going to settle down for another 45 minutes. And then Penn State's going to come back out and just still roll back over them. So that is my official game prediction for Saturday.
I'll wait for that to happen.
Okay. All right. Do you have your cheat sheet in front of you? You want to pull
I'm ready. No, so explain the rules to me.
Okay. So welcome to the first ever Stuff Summers Says inaugural kickoff college football
talent draft,
announcer draft.
Okay.
Here's how this works. If you're playing along at home, put the names up with the magic of television somewhere here. But I'll also, for those just listening, I'll read you all of the names. I put together a list of announcers, color analysts, studio host / sideline reporter, and then personalities. And Steve and I are about to go draft them. There are some rules. Everybody gets, so you get 5 picks plus the personality. So really 6 picks. You have to pick, you have to build 2 announcer teams. So you have to pick 2 announcers and 2 color analysts. And then you need to either pick a studio host or a sideline reporter. Got it?
Okay.
And then you're also going to pick the personality.
So what's the goal? Is the goal to attract the most viewers to your broadcast?
Yes.
Produce the best teams, or serve the viewers the best?
Well, the goal is to have the best college football broadcast between the 2 of us. I think is the best way.
But that's fair. Okay.
What is the answer? You're building whatever you would determine. You are a media executive for the Steve Samsel Network. And that is what you're
Steve TV.
It's Steve TV. Okay. Yeah. All right. Steve, because you're on the left side of the screen, I'm going to be nice. And also because you're older than me, age before beauty, I'm going to let you have the first pick. You have to pick, remember, 2 announcers, 2 color analysts, and 1 sideline / studio host. Let me read the names. Let me read the names for those listening at home. So announcers, we have Noah Eagle, Jack Collinsworth, Chris Fowler, Sean McDonough, Joe Tessitore, Bob Wischusen, Gus Johnson, Tim Brando, Lisa Binnington, and Dave Pash. Color analysts, we have Todd Blackledge, Jason Garrett, Kirk Herbstreit, Greg McElroy, Jesse Palmer, RG3, Joel Klatt, Spencer Tillman, Brock Cured, Matt Millen. Studio host / sideline reporters. We've got Catherine Tappan, Maria Taylor, Holly Rowe, Reese Davis, Molly McGrath, Quint Kesnich, Tom Rinaldi, Jenny Taff, Rob Stone, Dave Revzin, and then personalities. We've got Corso, McAfee, Urban Meyer, Stanford Steve, The Bear, and Marty Smith.
Okay.
Steve, you can pick anybody that you want to pick from that list. You have the first pick.
Okay.
You're on the clock.
Okay, with the first pick in the 2023 TV Talent Draft, Steve TV selects from West Virginia University, Pat McAfee.
Wow, Steve even, oh my God, look, he made printout cards. He didn't tell me this.
Card.
All right. Wow, beautiful, Steve, beautiful. All right, so Steve has McAfee, so Steve cannot pick a personality for the rest of the portion of this segment. I am gonna go with the announcer first, because I think that's the most important position, in my opinion, if you're going to watch the football game. And I'm going to pick Chris Fowler, who can pretty much do it all. But I just think he is the best college football announcer out there. Hands down. Like, there's a reason he does the national title game. I think that would be my first pick. Steve's second pick.
Back on the clock, I'm going to go announcer with the second pick. Steve T takes Noah Eagle, play-by-play man, Syracuse.
Noah Eagle. All right. I'm surprised that you took him this early, because I need to
build a network around him.
I like
He's
him.
25 years old.
Oh, okay, that's fair. If you're going to build a network around him, he is of the younger demographic. Steve clearly going for the youth, the millennials under with the McAfee Noah Eagle portion. All right. I need to pick somebody else. I'm gonna piss off Steve. I'm gonna go with my personality and take Marty Smith. I guess you already picked your.
That's a great pick.
I love Marty Smith. I think he has the absolute perfect energy for college football. I think he's exciting. He's funny. He provides. He can be serious when he needs to be serious, but he provides the fun that is college football, that makes college football better.
And I don't think anybody else on the board holds a world record, and he does. He has a world record for like the longest cornhole throw, right?
I think so. Yeah.
So you've got a world record holder in your stable.
There we go. All right.
Okay. Third pick for me is Steve TV, analyst from Penn State, Todd Blackledge.
Unsurprising.
To keep that team together.
Wow, you are keeping. Yeah, that's interesting. I thought about Todd Blackledge, but I wanted to be a good co-host and let you pick him. I don't know. I really like Todd, and I think he's probably the second best announcer on this list. But that being said, with my third pick and my first color analyst pick, I think I'm going to go with RG3. And I think it's just, again, he has a lot of fun. He's a lot of energy, provides something different. And I think that is an important, like, to have a little bit of personality in that position, you need to have it. So that would be my third pick.
That's a good pick.
All right. So Steve, you need two announcers. Or, I'm sorry, you need one play-by-play, one analyst, and one studio host / sideline reporter.
Exactly. I think with my fourth pick, we are going to go with play-by-play man from Syracuse. I got two Syracuse people working my play-by-play. Sean McDonough. Who I think is very good and very versatile, and big fan.
Very level-headed. Very knows the right time to get excited. Knows the right tone to set. To me, is one of the voices of college football when I think about college football. If you ask me for the audio track in my head, I also just think of underrated, probably the most underrated announcer on this list.
I mean, he's been national semifinals. He's super. He just
does college football.
What he's supposed to do.
He's doing hockey. He does the Blue Jays. Like he's one of those people that can do it all. I think super underrated on this list. Okay, so let's see. I need another announcer and I need
Another analyst
another
and a host or
analyst.
reporter.
Yes. Okay. Um, hmm, hmm. I think I'm gonna take. I think I am gonna take probably the most talented, best person at their job on this entire list. Person that probably should have been the number one pick, Holly Rowe. I think
Okay.
she's the best at getting coaches to say meaningful, important things, asking the right questions at the right time, um, and really has a good chemistry with really whatever booth that she's working with, usually Fowler and Herb Street. So there we go. Steve, you're back on the clock.
I'm back on this clock. I'm writing names, going with a Big Ten person as an analyst from Ohio State University, Herb Street.
I see. I I like Herbie. Don't get me wrong, but I don't. I think there are other names on this list that get me slight. If I have to plan the future of my college football media empire, I don't know if Herbie.
I
Interested to
know I
see
didn't
how.
go youth with my analysts. I did not.
Yeah.
I did not as good as much, and it was close.
Yes. Yes, it was. Okay. All right. Oof. Oof. So now looking at the list, maybe I should have taken Herbie because you took Blackledge and Herb Street. Steve's team is significantly better than my team. Well, I guess that leaves probably Greg McElroy for me. I think he's the up and coming, probably the guy that will take over for Herbie eventually one day. Um, also does a nice job. Just does a nice job. I think that would be my biggest takeaway. All right. So Steve, you need just another one. I lost count. Okay, so you
I just
need
need a reporter or a host
yes.
because you
Okay.
already have Holly Rowe wrapped up.
Yes.
There's a lot of great names on the board. I'm going to go with the host. I didn't look, but I'm pretty sure I'm not quite sure where it's college. I think Florida. Maria Taylor.
Hmm. You like her?
I think she does college football better than she does the NFL.
Yes. Yes.
Um, so I think I need someone to get us into the games and set a tone. She's relatable to viewers. It'd be close with her and Reese Davis, but of what's left there, she's more than what's left. She's leading the network's studio show, so I'll happily bring her to Steve TV to do my shows.
I think she does a nice job. I think again, and I do agree with you. It was very noticeable this weekend watching football and then watching college football and then the NFL. It was like, wow, she has the personality better for college football, and I think that it's an undefinable trait. I can't really put my finger on why, but she just fits that role better. Like I think
Just
she's
feels
better
different.
on.
It feels more
Yeah.
authentic for whatever reason.
Yes. Yes. All right. So that leaves me with the last pick, but certainly not Mr. Irrelevant, I would say. Um, my favorite, probably, yeah, definitely my favorite play-by-play announcer, and not just because of what he does on college football, but also what he does on the show. Holy moly,
I
Mr.
was
Joe
waiting.
Tessitore.
I was waiting.
I,
I figured the holy moly vote would carry him
I,
through.
and there is, I think, again, I think he does an excellent job. Has a good relationship with. I have his partner there, I believe now, with Joe and Greg, or at least former partners.
Yep.
I think
No, it's a good team.
I think just a good football voice, like very
Yep.
good at what he does, and
Yep. I
you know that
like
your
him. He would have
game's
been.
meaningful.
He was right there for me. Exactly.
Um, Taking a quick look at our list here, Steve. Do you know what is absent from either of our lists? Do you
Oh, I
know?
know what's absent from both of our lists. Anybody
It's
from
a
Fox. Fox is number one
anybody from
crew.
Fox. Not just. I mean, we didn't even take Bear. We didn't take Urban Meyer.
Poor Tom
Totally
Rinaldi
overlooked.
got whipped by the Fox
Poor
thing
Tom
because
Rinaldi.
he was
Yeah,
close. It was either him or Holly for me, or him or Maria. Sorry, Maria for me when I came to that pick. But I think as she's more versatile as a host than he would be as a reporter for my network.
I think that is very fair. Yeah, I I'm not picking. I'm not picking Gus. We all know how I feel about Gus. Joel Klatt in very small doses is fine. Um, Jenny Taft doesn't. I don't know. She's not that unique to me. I think Tom is more unique to me because he puts his beautiful stories together. And that's no disrespect to Jenny Taft. It's just that I don't know.
No, he just does a different thing.
Rob Stone, if I was starting if it was all sports, I probably would pick Rob Stone because I do think he does a nice job with the World Cup. I do think he does a nice job with MLS
He's
stuff.
versatile. He's great.
Yeah. But he's not college football to me.
No, and unfortunately, and am I watching? I guess I'm recording this Saturday. I don't find the Fox folks, especially on the studio show, trustworthy. Like, I just don't. I mean, Urban Meyer has skeletons and whatever else and has been successful. But if he's gonna fib about something, how am I trusting him to talk college football? I know it's much less. And that's kind of the same way with Leinart and even Brady Quinn. And Mark Ingram looks fun. Like, I mean, compared to
fun.
Reggie Bush, he looks a little more fun and genuine and not whatever. I just think that's the difference. I think that's the thing fans are going to feel as the season progresses. Maybe you don't notice, and we're tough on Gus because it's just a different tone and tenor to how he goes about doing it. There's nothing wrong with it. It just doesn't feel. I don't know. It just feels out of place. It feels forced. Sometimes.
Yeah,
it feels like it's about him, and I'm there to cheer for the laundry because we know I'm not even there for the players individually. Like, forget NIL, I'm there for the laundry. So
it's there that Steve said it. All right, maybe we'll put a little graphic together and let people vote on whose team is better.
There you go. Who has the strongest team? There you go.
I think people are going to pick. You have Todd Blackledge, and everybody likes Todd Blackledge. Like, I think that is.
And I have McAfee to move the needle, right? Like, for whatever goofy stuff he does, we have him to move the needle. Right?
I am surprised that you picked him. Like, I think that was good business decision, Steve. That was not good. Decision. Not good personal, Steve.
Because people are going to watch him stuff. Yeah, because it's tough for me to. I get it. I understand how it works. I know it. I know why it's entertaining. I just can't watch hours and hours of it. Even like the Manning cast version of it during Alabama, Texas. There were some great viral moments there with guests and whatever else. And I just want to watch a football game. Okay. That's fair. But I think you can be honest about that too. So.
Okay. All right. That's it. That's all we got for this week's show. Let's see. We have a newsletter coming out this week. Probably write something for that. Well, I have to write something for that. Steve might write something for that. Steve, are you writing your traditional weekly blog post as well this week?
I'm going to get you something. Yep.
Oh boy. Very good. Go back and read Steve's column if you didn't. It was a weird column from Steve to write because it was a positive column. And that when he writes those, they're usually a little bit better. So make sure you read that one. Let's see what else. Newsletter. We have long sleeve stuff. I'm wearing a short sleeve stuff. This is game day on it. That's mention number 3. I would order if you're thinking about ordering stuff and you want it for the whiteout. I would order it. I would order it now, and that's you got to order it like today. If you're listening to the podcast on Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, for 100% guarantee, and even then I can't guarantee. So this
for 100% guarantee, and I can't. But we have the Miller Lite money back challenge. If you don't get it in time, come see us. We'll give you a beer.
Yeah, we'll give you a beer. Perfect. And let's see what else we got. YouTube page somewhere in this general vicinity. I'm all switched up now because I was pointed out that my camera was mirrored in now. So everything that if I point to the left, it points to the right on the TV or on the computer. We've got that. We've got a podcast, 5 stars, thumbs up, all of that. We've got an email. Mine is Darian@stuffsummersays.com. Steve's got an email. It's
Steve@stuffsummersays.com.
Beautiful. We've got a website, stuffsummersays.com. We've got plenty of content. We'll have depth charts, everything you need for the football contest for Saturday. Might even try to have box scores this weekend. I'm working on it. We'll see. No promises. Other than that, we have Twitter handles. Mine is @StuffSummerSays. Steve says
@Steve Samsel.
We're out of here in 45 minutes. Look at us. Proud of us.
See ya.
Bye.